One of the best times to throw a bright colored bait is during the springtime, whether it's pre-spawn, spawn, or post-spawn. The bright colored baits tend to get very aggressive strikes out of the fish. I think a lot of times they're in a protective mode, and therefore a bright colored bait seems more intrusive to them, and therefore they're willing to bite it more during the spring than any other time of the year. One of my go-tos is a methylate color like this Zoom trick worm. I love to throw a floating worm, and it seems like this is one of the best all around colors. Now, having said that, your lime greens, your yellows, your whites, they can all work really well. And one of the things I would tell you, one of the best tips when it comes to fishing a floating worm is you want to find the color that glows in the water, meaning all your different watercolors are going to react different to certain baits. The methylate color seems to glow really well in a lot of watercolors, but if you put this on and you don't see like a glowing color around it, try throwing a different color. A lot of times what I find is that's when your lime green or that's when your solid yellow or your whites really seem to have that glow that the methylate doesn't. I think that's because there's a little bit of translucent color to this versus the other being straight opaque solid colors. But if your bait isn't glowing, find the right color that will be glowing. Now, when you're talking about this Zoom trick worm, I like to rig this up where I'm fishing it on spinning gear because I can cast it better. This is the NSJ 842. It's a medium light to medium action powered rod, 7-footer, so I can make good casts. A lot of times you're throwing those floating worms around specific targets, flooded bushes, docks, things like that. And I like to use it with an Abu Garcia Revo rocket because I'm generally not fishing my bait all the way back to the boat. I'm usually fishing it for the first quarter to third of a cast around specific targets. The Revo rocket lets me pick up a lot of line, therefore gives me more casts throughout the day. And then I'm throwing it on 10-pound Berkeley X9 high vis braid because I can see the color better. I like that high vis braid. And then I'm putting on about a 10-foot just straight Berkeley 100% fluorocarbon leader of 10-pound test. But I take that and I run that to a leader, a small one of these small size 10 power swivels. I would take that out, but I would lose it in my carpet. That's how small they are. And I put that on with an 18-inch leader again of that 10-pound 100% Berkeley fluorocarbon. And what that allows me to do is limit a lot of the line twist that I would get from a floating worm. So I like to put a tiny little swivel right in the middle, about 18 inches up, so it doesn't impede my casting, but at the same time, it makes me much more efficient on the water. So during the spring, guys, don't forget about your methylate colored worms. Doesn't have to be a trick worm. You can get it in other color in other style baits as well. But for me, this is going to be one of my go-tos this spring.
What is up, guys? Jimmy Easterling here with Bass Fishing Declassified. Hey, today we're talking about crazy different colors. And man, the springtime is when you need to have some different colors in the boat. I'm going to share with you two colors that I like to throw in the spring. Matt just talked about the methylate. I have that color ready in the boat, but I have two more that we're going to share with you as well. Before I get into these colors, like here's one right here, the pink fluke. Before I get into it, when and why to go after and throw these colors. Like, how do you know when to and then why? So for me, if I'm fishing, let's say it's a cove, it's a little off, it's a little arm off a creek, and it's more of a spawning flat, more of an area where they're going to be fishing there, getting ready, and or they've already done the spawn and they're kind of around. Let's say you're fishing your natural colors and you don't get bit, but then you're like, man, I should be getting bit. Put you on a different color like this pink fluke right here. The colors, what it does, like the pink, for example, if you're fishing that stained muddy water, this looks white, okay? But let's say it's more clean, right? Let's say it's more stained, that clean water where fish can see more visually, all right? What bass do in this time of year in the spring, they're not really just eating off hunger, okay? They'll have their moments where they got to eat, but man, they're more worried about the spawn, the process that goes into it, and part of that process is they are protecting their eggs or protecting the fish that just hatched, and so they're not eating just off hunger. They're eating, your forage, your craws, your brim that are coming in there to try to eat them. And one thing that these bright colors do is it gives them bass a different visual, and they're like, hey, that's not normal. That little lure, whatever you're trying to present, is coming in here, and I'm going to go protect what just happened. So these bright colors trigger fish at times to come after and get in that guard mode, and then they will eat it. So this right here, guys, is that pink super fluke. This is a pink reaction innovation skinny dipper. Like I said, so I call it pink. They call it, you know, bubble gum. Okay, and like I said, right here, same thing, bubble gum. All right. So these two lures, like I said, I've actually learned about this with a buddy of mine. If he's watching this, he's going to be laughing about it and probably mad that I'm sharing this. But anyway, like I said, we figured this out down at Lake Fork about 5-6 years ago. They'll eat this at Lake Fork. And once again, it's like I said, guys, if you're fishing let's say you're fishing a stretch of docks, you're fishing an area, and you're just like, hey, I should get bit, try a different color. Try one of these bright colors. My next color I'm going to share, okay? And it's kind of called this color, but you know, I have this in lizards. I have it right here. This is the Super Fry by Strike King. It's KVD soft plastics, you know. This is the chartreuse pepper, okay? So right, like this is just a little, you know, a little different style of a soft plastic, you know. I like to wacky rig this, but the chartreuse pepper is another bright color that fish cannot resist, okay? So there are times, you know, you're gonna have to go through your process of picking these colors just like you would a natural color. So like I said, I have the bubble gum, I have the chartreuse pepper right here, and then I also have the methylate color as well. Anyway, guys, hey, hopefully you enjoyed. Get you some bubblegum flukes. Get you this right here, the chartreuse pepper. Like I said, I had these actually in lizards, okay? Like I said, they were more hidden in the boat, but these were easier for me to get. So anyway, guys, let's go see what Randy has to say, because he's got you a unique color of a lure as well.
Really quick, if you guys enjoy the content in this video and want more personalized instruction, head to our website, fishthemoment.com. Then go to the virtual lessons page. Here you can book one-on-one virtual lessons with each member of the Fish the Moment team. In these 1-hour lessons, the Fish the Moment team member will break down your lake using Google Earth and a contour line map and answer any questions you have. Whether you're preparing for an upcoming fishing tournament or a fun weekend on the lake, make sure you sign up for one of these one-on-one virtual lessons so you're fully prepared to catch as many fish as possible on the water. Check them out at fishthemoment.com.
Hey guys, and welcome back here to another edition of Bass Fishing Declassified, and much appreciate you guys making a little time to watch today's video. We're going to talk about my crazy color for fishing during the month of April or when the fish are spawning. I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on it. And right off the bat, it's the Smithwick Devil's Horse in what I call the bumblebee pattern. Now, it could be, I mean, I'm not actually sure the color they call this. I call it bumblebee. It's basically yellow with black stripes on it, which is pretty wild color. You don't see this color a whole lot. But guys, when the fish are spawning or when they're close to spawning, it's like when those fish are starting to move shallow and they're looking for beds, or they're actually spawning, or maybe they've just got done spawning and they're garden fry. Guys, this bumblebee pattern, Smithwick Devil's Horse, I catch some of the biggest topwater fish of the year on this thing. And it's pretty simple to do. What I do is I get back in spawning areas where I think the fish are spawning at. And I'm looking for areas that have water visibility of really at least 2 foot. I like ideally that sort of that 2.5 to 4 foot range is going to be the best situation for it. And it's amazingly, you know, most topwater lures, they're better during cloudy, rainy conditions, but not really so with the Devil's Horse when the fish are spawning. I catch a lot of fish in a lot of different sky conditions. It can be bright sunny, it can be partly cloudy, it can be cloudy, but one of the things that really helps with this is you got to have fairly calm conditions. At the very most, you want just like a little slight ripple, but I prefer it calm in here. So what I do is I just take the Devil's Horse. I usually put it on that Megabass 110 special rod. I put it on 12 to 14 pound test monofilament line, and I simply just burn the bank, and I get into those spawning coves, cast the Devil's Horse to the bank, work it out from the bank to maybe out 10 foot away from the bank. And the way you want to work it is you throw it out there, and it's got 2 propellers on the thing, and when you twitch it like that, both propellers spin, and the degree of noise that the propellers make has to do with how quick and how sharp you jerk it down. But I like to make just like a quick downward snap like that and move the bait maybe 6 inches at a time. And then here's the critical part. Once you move the bait like 6 inches, allow it to stop where the ripples completely dissipate. You know, you don't want any ripples on there. Let it just float around there a little time, and then just maybe barely twitch it like an inch. And that's when most of the time those big ones will hit it. I think what happens is when you throw it out there, it gets their attention, and based upon the stage that the fish are in spawning, their levels of aggression are a little bit different. But once you get their attention and you stop that bait, they come to investigate it. And a lot of times they're sitting there looking at it and they're studying it, and then you make that little twitch and then they'll come up and clobber it. But guys, this is one of my favorite colors. I don't see hardly anybody throwing it. Go get you some of the Smithwick Devil's Horses and the Bumblebee pattern, or something close to the bright chartreuse. You want something bright for whatever reason. There's something about the bright chartreuse that just, it makes those bigger fish act on this thing. I don't know what it is. Most people use some type of a shad pattern on a topwater. This Bumblebee pattern will get you some really big bites when the fish are spawning. So hope it helps out, and we'll see you next episode.